over the years, I've come across a lot of information that essentially says that it is all about the mind and that the past only exists in our head. And so there is then no such thing as the unconscious mind, and there is no need for anyone to settle down their nervous system or to do any deep work, because it will purely be all about the mind. So based on this, the way for someone to transform their life will just be to change their thoughts. So CBT or hypnotherapy will be the answer, because if it's all about this, then changing what is going on in the mind will naturally lead to transformation. But as time went by, I came to see that actually this is not the truth. The mind is obviously very important, and if we are not aware of something, then how can we change it? But to say that purely changing what is going on up top is the way to transform someone's life is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Because as I'm sure you know, in addition to having a conscious mind and what is going on there, we also have an unconscious mind, or call it the body, where pain and trauma is stored. So simply focusing on the mind is overlooking a massive part of someone's being. It's the equivalent of saying that the tip of the iceberg is all there is. So if you just remove the tip of the iceberg, then you can send your ship straight through there. And of course, if that was to happen, then the boat would soon be sinking. But when it comes down to self-improvement and self-development and transformation, changing what is going up top is very similar to, coming back to the boat analogy, rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. Someone can use their intellect to repress deeper pain, but in terms of real transformation, playing around with thoughts and behaving differently is not going to resolve the deeper pain that someone's brain has repressed. And so it can just lead to short-term change, but then before long, someone can end up back at square one because they won't have dealt with the deeper wounds, the deeper issues, which was then why their mind was out of control, because their mind is there to tell them. A bit like the dashboard of a car, when the lights come up, perhaps on the older cars, it's a sign that something is not right. So to purely just change the thoughts, it's a bit like removing the weed. It doesn't deal with the root, and it doesn't deal with what is going on. And after thinking about this for a while, a number of years ago, I ended up writing an article about this, and it was called, "Does the Past Only Exist in Our Head?" And this is why I said, a few days ago I came across a quote that had been placed on a picture, and this was a quote that had received a lot of positive feedback on a social media site. The law of attraction was also mentioned underneath it. Part of this quote basically said that the past only exists in our head, which made me wonder how anyone could actually believe this. Shortly after this, I started to think about why this viewpoint was so common. In today's world, it is not uncommon for someone to be completely out of touch with their body and to live in their head. Through being out of touch with what is taking place in their body, their attention will primarily be in their head. This part of their being can then be seen as the area where all of their issues are found. They can believe that it's their negative beliefs and thoughts that are the problem, and these will be seen as originating in this part of them. Through experiencing life in this way, there is going to be no reason for them to disagree with a quote like the one I mentioned above. Having this outlook is likely to mean that someone like this will try to let go of what is taking place in their head in order to move on from the past. This can then be a time when they will use their willpower to try to remove thoughts that arise in their head. Perhaps this will work, or it could just cause them to experience a lot of frustration. One way of looking at the head would be to say that this is the top of a weed, while the body is the root. In a lot of cases, someone's head will merely reveal what is taking place for them further down. However, the only way that they will be able to realize what is taking place is if they are able to connect to their body. This part of them has been described as the unconscious mind, for the reason that it is where emotional pain is stored. But although this part of them can hold so much stuff, if they live in their head, they won't be able to see this. This doesn't mean that this pain won't have an effect on them though, as it will have an impact on who they are drawn to and attract, the thoughts that they have, and how they feel, among other things. The emotional pain that is in their body will be the result of what has happened to them as an adult, what took place during their early years, and even their time in their mother's womb. What has been passed down from their ancestors and what they have experienced in their past lives can also play a part in what their body is carrying. So, if someone has lost touch with their body as a way to avoid the pain that is carried there, and they live in a society that is primarily focused on what is taking place on the surface and rarely goes deeper, it is going to be perfectly normal for them to accept that the past only exists in their head. They will be estranged from themselves, perhaps knowing more about what is happening in the media than what is happening deep within their own being. Someone's head is focused on what is going on out there, and it also has the need to avoid pain. Looking within is therefore something that goes against its nature, and is likely to be anything but pleasurable, especially if their body is carrying a lot of emotional pain. With that said, if someone wants to get in touch with their body and become an integrated human being, they may need to reach out for external support. With this support, they will be able to go where they probably wouldn't go by themselves. Perhaps you have heard over the years that it is all about the mind, and perhaps you have also come to see that this is not the complete truth. If this is so, then it will be essential for you to work through and to let go of the baggage that is held in other parts of your brain and your body. And as I've said, through doing this, you will be able to become a more integrated and powerful human being. You will no longer live on the surface, and you will be able to live a life that is far more fulfilling. So if you can relate to this, please reach out for the assistance that you need to gradually change your life. If you would like to find out more about the services that I offer, please go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.